As the wedding ceremony culminated in a beautifully decorated hall, an unexpected guest came to the fore. A young boy, no older than 10, approached with a microphone in his hand. He was a stranger to the bride and groom. His presence was a mystery to all present. His determined walk and solemn expression led to whispers among the guests, curiosity bubbling up as to why a child who did not know the bride and groom would take such a bold step. His next actions would unleash a moment so moving that it would engrave this day in the memory of all who witnessed it. Anna hurried back into the room after hearing the voice of a little boy coming from the speakers. He was standing in the middle of the dance floor with a microphone in his hands. No one at the wedding had seen the little boy before, but he didn't seem to feel out of place among all those strangers. She glanced at her husband, who in turn held up his hands to say, "I have no idea either." Just as she was about to walk over to the boy and escort him out, he opened his mouth and began to speak. He introduced himself as Tom, without a last name, and addressed Anna by her first name as if he knew her. No one knew what was going on, but what was really amazing was what he said next. All the guests gasped when Tom told them something so unexpected that Anna almost fainted. But who was the blonde boy? What was he doing at Anna and Benjamin's wedding? And what did he say to Anna? Anna and Benjamin's wedding was almost perfect. Everything was well planned, and nothing had gone wrong. Or at least, not yet. They had just finished their first dance, and everyone was slowly getting on the dance floor to show off their dance moves when Anna saw a little blonde boy enter the room out of the corner of her eye. She didn't pay much attention to him at first, because she was too busy dancing with all her friends and family. She just thought the boy had snuck in out of curiosity and wanted to know what was going on. Nothing harmful at all. But the longer the boy stood in the corner of the room, the more uncomfortable she began. Eventually, she told Benjamin, who had also noticed the boy. He told Anna that she didn't have to worry, and that he would go to him to talk. Anna told him to bring a piece of cake for the boy, so Benjamin did. The boy seemed to light up at the sight of the cake and began to eat eagerly. Benjamin crouched down next to the boy, and they had a brief, positive conversation, as far as it seemed, of course. Anna had no idea what they were actually saying, because the music was way too loud for her to hear. A little later, Benjamin came back and nodded to Anna. She wanted to ask what they had been talking about, but she was interrupted by her father, who asked her to dance. The night went on, and for a moment Anna forgot about the boy. She enjoyed the evening to the fullest, drank champagne with the people she loved the most, and danced her feet off the floor. It was only when her sister walked up to her and asked her about the strange boy in the corner that she was reminded of his presence. She was a little confused that the boy was still there, because almost an hour and a half had passed, and she thought Benjamin had talked to the boy. She quickly walked over to her new husband and told him that the boy was still there, which Benjamin also seemed to find confusing. But when they turned to the boy, he had disappeared. Anna's stomach sank. Where had he gone? But Benjamin did not share the same concerns. He seemed to be happy with the boy's disappearance. "He's probably gone to his parents," he said to Anna as he shrugged. Anna smiled and nodded. She just agreed with Benjamin, but she had an undeniable feeling in her stomach that something more was going on with the boy. Suddenly, the music stopped, and Anna and Benjamin were illuminated by a spotlight. They squeezed their eyes shut against the bright light, not sure what was going on. Then, a familiar voice spoke through a microphone. Benjamin's mother. She spoke highly of Anna, the daughter she had never had. Anna's eyes welled up with tears as she listened to her mother-in-law's words, and she completely forgot about the boy. Just as Anna's mother-in-law had finished her speech, the whole room suddenly went dark. There was a moment of panic until Benjamin's voice cut through the hubbub. "Don't worry, I'm going to see what's going on," he said as he turned on the flashlight of his phone and walked out of the room. Anna quickly said that everyone should turn on their flashlight as well, so that the room was filled with light again. Not only did their hall no longer have any light, the whole building had a blackout. Benjamin came back with the news that an electrician was looking at it at the time he spoke, and that the electricity should be back within 10 minutes. Everyone waited patiently until finally the lights came back on, and the music started playing again. Even when the lights lit up the room and the music started again, Anna couldn't shake off a gnawing feeling. Her eyes wandered over the guests. She saw smiles and laughter, but her heart was not quite there. Her gaze went, almost automatically, to the gift table, where a bright pink package stood out among the neatly arranged gifts. Anna apologized and walked over to the table. The package was wrapped in shiny pink paper that glistened under the light of the room. Curious, she reached out and turned the box over. No label, no name, nothing to indicate who it belonged to. She frowned. It was strange, out of place, and somehow it seemed to be calling out to her. The lack of a note only added to the mystery and increased Anna's unease. She turned the package over in her hands, examined every seam and every corner, hoping for a clue. The more she looked, the more it seemed like this wasn't just a mistake. Someone had left it here on purpose, but why? And more importantly, who? Determined, Anna began to ask around. She started with her closest friends and family, moved on to distant relatives, and finally to the few colleagues she had invited. Every conversation ended with the same shrug of the shoulders or surprised look. No one claimed to know anything about the pink package. It was as if it had appeared out of nowhere, and Anna was left with unanswered questions. Anna's frustration grew when everyone she asked rejected any knowledge of the pink package. Feeling increasingly isolated, she scanned the crowd, hoping for a clue or a sign, but found nothing. The joy of her wedding day was slowly overshadowed by the mystery of this unclaimed gift, which made her feel disconnected from the celebration around her. When Benjamin noticed Anna's growing anxiety, he took her hand and suggested that they go outside. The noise of the party faded as they walked out into the cool evening air. The garden was peaceful, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of emotions Anna felt inside. Benjamin led her to a secluded bench, where she could escape for a moment from the questions that had plagued her mind. Sitting under the vast starry sky, Anna finally let her guard down. Tears ran down her cheeks as she tried to make sense of the situation. The weight of confusion and helplessness was too much. The night air, usually soothing, now felt heavy with unanswered questions. Benjamin sat next to her. Benjamin didn't say much. He didn't have to. His mere presence was a comfort to Anna. He handed her a handkerchief and put his arm around her to let her know that he was there for her, no matter what. Anna leaned against him and found comfort in his quiet support, as she grappled with the disturbing mystery that had disrupted their special day. Just as Anna began to calm down, a movement caught her eye. She wiped away her tears and looked up. She saw a blond-haired boy hiding behind a nearby tree. Her heart skipped a beat. Wasn't this the same boy from before? Curiosity pushed out her sadness for a moment, and she stood up, her gaze fixed on the place where the boy had disappeared, wondering if he had the key to the unanswered questions. Without saying a word, Anna jumped to her feet and ran to the tree, leaving a bewildered Benjamin behind. Her sudden movement was swift, her wedding dress rustling against the night breeze. Benjamin's call to wait faded into the background, drowned out by the pounding of her heart and the adrenaline rush that fueled her pursuit of the mysterious boy. Anna focused only on the boy, her determination making her deaf to Benjamin's worried cries. She wriggled through the garden, her eyes scanning the darkness, looking for any sign of the blonde-haired figure. The noise of the wedding party seemed miles away as she went along, driven by an overwhelming need to discover the boy's identity and his connection to her special day. When she reached the tree, Anna's hopes evaporated like a balloon pricked by a needle. There was no boy in sight. She paused for a moment to catch her breath. The cool evening air filled her lungs. Then, a flash of blonde hair at the edge of the room revived her resolve. Her disappointment quickly turned into determination, and she left again, her pursuit far from over. The chase intensified as Anna followed the boy's fleeting glimpse. An instinctive need, a tug in her stomach, drove her forward. She maneuvered around guests who had stepped outside, unaware of her urgent pursuit. Every step, every breath brought her closer, she hoped, to understand why this boy had appeared on her wedding day, and why he seemed so elusive. Anna's pursuit led her back to the entrance of the hall, her name echoing in Benjamin's distant shouts. She ignored the confusion her sudden sprint had caused among the few guests who had noticed it and threw herself back into the celebrations. The loud music and chatter surrounded her as she scoured the crowd for the blonde-haired figure, her heart racing with anticipation and a multitude of questions that were still unanswered. In the hall, Anna paused her thoughts in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. The joyous echoes of her wedding collided with the boy's mystery. For a moment, she considered stopping, wondering if this chase was pulling her away from what really mattered. But before she could make a decision, a sharp sound brought her back to her quest, closing a door that seemed to whisper secrets. The sound of the door closing acted as a beacon and drew Anna's determination sharply. She couldn't ignore it. The mystery of the boy and his connection to her day was too compelling. With renewed determination, she walked towards the sound, her wedding dress no obstacle to the adventure that her evening had become unexpected. The mysterious boy was more than an intruder. He was a puzzle she had to solve. Anna navigated the halls with a cunning she didn't know she possessed, her footsteps silently among the laughter and music from the main hall. Each step took her further away from the bride she was supposed to be and led her into the role of a detective on her wedding night. The location, familiar and yet so different under these circumstances, was a maze full of secrets waiting to be discovered. Anna came back into the party and was immediately overwhelmed by the palpable mix of concern and relief from her family and guests. Their faces, a canvas of concern, relaxed slightly at the sight of her. Benjamin came closer, with questions in his eyes, but relief in his attitude. The wedding, briefly interrupted by her absence, seemed to breathe a sigh of relief when she returned, but the questions remained unspoken. Anna's attempt to dismiss her sudden departure as nothing was immediately tested by her mother's pervasive concern. "What were you doing?" her mother asked, her voice cutting through the music and chatter. Anna's adventure, her pursuit of the mysterious boy, suddenly felt insignificant under her mother's worried gaze. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to it, more that she needed to understand. Even when the wedding feasts resumed, Anna could not banish the boy's elusive presence from her mind. She kept repeating their brief encounters, trying to decipher the silent messages in his fleeting glances. The more she thought about it, the stronger she felt an inexplicable bond with him. His mystery was like a puzzle that invited her to delve deeper into the riddle and urged her to find the missing pieces. The wedding went ahead. Laughter and music filled the air, but the atmosphere had undeniably changed. Anna's mysterious absence and her sudden return, although not openly talked about, hung over the party like a subtle fog. The guests exchanged curious glances, their whispers mingled with the melodies, and they were all aware that the evening had taken an unforeseen turn with Anna at the center. With the image of the boy in her head, Anna was drawn back to the gift table, her gaze focused on the pink package. Its presence, once just curious, now felt like a challenge she couldn't ignore. She walked towards it, her steps deliberate, aware of the meaning of this act. Feeling the shift in her determination, Benjamin joined her, ready to support her in unraveling this mystery. With Benjamin next to her and a circle of guests forming around her, Anna began to unwrap the pink suit. The room became quiet. The festive music faded into the background, while all eyes were on her actions. The anticipation was palpable. Every guest shared in the joint moment. Their joint breath stopped. Together they waited for the unwrapping, not only of a gift, but of a mystery that had enveloped the night. The shiny pink packaging fell away and revealed an old, taped cardboard box. The contrast between the bright packaging and the worn box added new layers to the mystery that was unfolding. Anna and Benjamin exchanged glances, their curiosity mixed with concern. The guests leaned closer, the air thick with tension. The box, so ordinary and yet so laden with potential revelations, sat there like a locked chest from an ancient time, with secrets in prospect. As Anna carefully removed the tape, the box, worn by time and secrecy, seemed to whisper about untold stories. The crowd around her leaned in, their curiosity reaching a peak when the outdated cardboard gave way. Just opening the box, so simple and yet so full of anticipation, brought everyone closer to the mystery that Anna would reveal. Inside, amid a silence of expectation, Anna found a seemingly mundane notebook. The smooth cover offered no clues and left her confused for a moment. But it was her mother's reaction, with wide-open eyes and a slightly wide-open mouth, that betrayed the depth of the story in the pages. The audience felt the shift in the air, their attention now divided between the notebook and the unfolding drama reflected on her mother's face. With the audience's attention focused on her, Anna began to turn the pages of the notebook. Every move felt heavy, laden with the weight of long-buried secrets. The anticipation grew with every page she turned, as if the air in the room was thickening with the promise of revelations that would come soon. The guests were silent and held their breath together as Anna delved deeper into the contents of the notebook. The moment Anna saw the name Ginny on the first page, a silence fell over the crowd. That one name, well known and yet laden with an unspoken history, acted as a key that opened doors to long-kept family secrets. The guests exchanged glances, feeling the significance of this discovery. As Anna absorbed the shock of this connection, her heart racing at the implications of the name's appearance. Confronted with her mother's visible vulnerability, Anna stood at a crossroads. The revelation of Ginny's name had opened a Pandora's box of emotions and questions. Confusion and curiosity fought inside her as she looked from the notebook to her mother, looking for answers in her eyes. The crowd around them, sensing the delicate nature of this discovery, waited with bated breath, understanding that the story was far from over. The room fell into a deep silence as the blond boy made his way to the DJ, an action that immediately attracted all attention. This simple act, that he asked for a microphone, was loaded with an unspoken meaning. The sudden silence felt like the calm before the storm, paving the way for revelations that could change the course of the evening. The guests shifted, their murmurs faded, and were replaced by a collective breath that was kept in suspense. With the microphone in hand, each guest watched the boy's next steps with bated breath. This wasn't just a child making a request. It was a harbinger of untold truths, of mysteries that would be unraveled. He walked slowly and deliberately to the center of the dance floor every step echoing in the quiet space, enhancing the sense of anticipation that now filled the air. As he positioned himself in the middle of the dance floor, the room remained shrouded in an anticipatory silence. All eyes were on him, the young, mysterious figure who held the evening in his hands. The guests leaned towards him. Their expressions were a mixture of curiosity and concern. They understood that the following moments could reveal the core of the mystery of the evening. Anna watched, her breath caught in her throat, feeling the importance of what was to come. The pause before he spoke was full of tension, a moment that was stretched to the limit as Anna and the guests waited for his words. This was more than a simple announcement. It was the harbinger of revelations that could change everything they thought they knew about the night. The air was heavy, laden with the weight of the coming revelations, and at that moment, time seemed to stand still. When the boy introduced himself as Tom, it marked a significant shift in the story of the evening. His name, clearly pronounced into the microphone, resounded through the room and heralded the beginning of an unexpected story. The guests exchanged glances, their expressions a mixture of amazement and intrigue, as they prepared to unfold a story that would change the course of the evening and perhaps also their understanding of the events of the day. As Tom's voice filled the room, Anna's mother made her way through the crowd, her expression a complex tapestry of emotions. She reached Anna and leaned over to share a whisper amid the wave of confusion that enveloped the room. But even as her mother's words rubbed against her ear, her gaze was drawn back to Tom. Despite her mother's urgent whispers, Anna's attention remained unwavering on Tom. His presence, once a mystery, now felt like a crucial piece of the puzzle falling into place. The atmosphere in the room thickened with anticipation. All eyes were on the boy as he stood, a solitary figure in the spotlight, ready to weave a narrative that would redefine the events of the evening. In the midst of this revelation, Anna and Benjamin shared a look, their expressions a vivid mix of confusion and intrigue. This unreal moment seemed to bring them together, a silent acknowledgement of the unexpected turn of the evening. Whispers and speculation abuzz around them, the guests spectators of a story that unraveled in real time, weaving new connections between past and present. Tom's next words, declaring that he was Ginny's son, swept through the room like a bolt of lightning, leaving a palpable shock. The atmosphere changed dramatically, charged with disbelief and a host of unspoken questions. The guests exchanged bewildered glances, the unveiling puncturing the fabric of the celebration and casting a shadow of amazement over the assembled crowd. Anna's gaze, filled with a tumult of emotions, shifted to her mother, looking for confirmation, for validation for Tom's astonishing claim. Her mother's face, a mirror of the complexity of the moment, contained answers and secrets that Anna had never been able to fathom. The weight of Tom's words hung between them, a bridge to untold stories, and in her mother's eyes, Anna searched for the truth about the child who claimed to have a connection with her deceased sister. Tom held the notebook close to him, his voice quiet, but full of emotion. He revealed that it was the only thing he had left of his mother, Ginny. For him, it was more than pages full of words. It was a key that had guided him on his journey to find his real family. Writing, a bridge to his past, had led him to this moment, to a room full of strangers connected by blood. On the pages of the notebook, Ginny had written about Anna and her mother, and painted a picture of a life that Tom should have been a part of. But amid the descriptions of family and missed moments, there was a deep sadness. Ginny had confessed that she had given up her child, keeping the secret buried deep, her words a silent testimony to the pain of separation that neither Anna nor her mother had known until now. Tom's story unfolded further as he talked about his life in foster care, a story characterized by a persistent sense that something was missing. Despite the care and the moments of kindness he experienced, there was always an emptiness, a feeling of incompleteness. His life, a patchwork of temporary homes and fleeting connections, had been a search for the piece that would make him complete. Anna's mother then shared her own story, one of a desperate search for the boy Ginny had given up. After Ginny's death, she had searched for every clue, every trace of where the boy might have gone, but the trail had gone cold. Her efforts, fueled by love and regret, were a silent struggle to fulfill a sister's final, unspoken wish, to return her child to the family where he belonged. The evening's revelations wove a complex tapestry of loss, love, and longing. Tom's arrival, his bond with Ginny, and the shared stories about what had been and what could have been gave a new dimension to the meeting. The evening that was meant to celebrate had turned into a moment of profound discovery, bringing together pieces of a family long separated by secrets and time. The room, once full of suspense and mystery, now radiated warmth as the family and guests collectively embraced Tom's presence. This acceptance was not only expressed, but also deeply felt through hugs, smiles, and tears of joy. It marked the beginning of healing for a family fragmented by secrets and time that celebrated the return of a member they had only just discovered, but already loved very much. Anna's decision to adopt Tom was a quick one, driven by a wave of love and a new sense of responsibility. It was a statement, not only to Tom, but to everyone present, that she was ready to start this new chapter of their lives together. This gesture, filled with instant love and acceptance, meant making up for past grief and the bright beginning of a new family bond. The warmth and acceptance that filled the room stretched from family to all the guests, reflecting a shared happiness for the evening's profound resolution. The atmosphere was charged with a sense of communal joy, as if everyone who was there was a part of Tom's journey back to his family. Their smiles, congratulations, and shared stories made the evening a celebration of unity and new beginnings. Tom, Anna, and Benjamin stood together, a newly formed unit, their connection palpable and direct. It was as if Tom had always been a part of their lives, his presence fitting seamlessly into the fabric of their family. They laughed and talked easily with each other, which marked the beginning of a life full of shared moments, challenges, and triumphs. Together, they were ready to navigate the future as one. As the evening progressed, the sense of closure gave way to excitement about the future. Tom's integration into Anna and Benjamin's lives opened up a world of possibilities, from holidays together to the simple joy of everyday moments. The evening, a turning point for all involved, ended with a hopeful outlook, looking forward to the adventures and stories that still need to be written in their journey together. Do you like this touching and surprising story? If so, we invite you to leave us a comment expressing your opinion. If you want to continue enjoying inspiring stories like this one, subscribe to our channel or check out the other videos shown at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for your cooperation.